what happened when he found out that his adoptive father was his real father. At 24, Raghav became a firefighter. New to the job and without any on the ground experience, he and his team were called to save a burning orphanage. When they arrived, Raghav heard the orphanage director screaming for a child named Shiv Suryavanshi. Shiv is still inside. He is only 5 years old, she frantically screamed. As soon as Raghav heard this, he ran inside immediately. Shiv, Shiv Suryavanshi, he called out inside. The flames were getting bigger and were starting to engulf the walls. Over here, he heard a boy call out from the second floor. Raghav rushed up the stairs, ignoring the heat, and lifted the child as he ran back down. He saved the boy and brought him out of the building just in a time before the staircase collapsed from the heat. Are you alright? Did you get hurt anywhere? Raghav asked as soon as he found an empty ambulance stretcher where he placed you. I am fine, Mr. Firefighter. Thank you for saving my life, Hugh said to him, giving Raghav a hug. This gesture warmed his heart, and he made sure to hug Shiv back tightly. What is going to happen to us now? Our home is gone, Shiv asked Raghav, quickly while the orphanage staff catered to the other children. Unfortunately, the orphanage building is gone, and it will take a while to build. The government will help relocate everyone in the time being, Raghav explained. She started to cry, clutching on to a ragged surface. Toy he managed to save. It's alright, young man. You'll be okay, Raghav assured him, rubbing his back. How about you, Mr. Firefighter? Do you have a family of your own? The young boy asked. Raghav shook his head. I don't. I live alone, and it's actually quite lonely. He paused for a while, then Raghav decided to do something courageous. He suddenly said, what do you think about keeping me company? Would you take me as your dad? He asked the young boy. Hugh's eyes winded. Really? He said, shocked. I can call you dad, Hugh asked. Raghav nodded. If you want to. The firefighter smiled. Hugh's face flashed a big smile as he gave his stuffed toy a warm embrace. Mom, I am going to have a family, he whispered to the stuffed toy. Is that stuffed toy your mom? Raghav asked. Shiv quickly shook his head and removed a small photograph from the pocket of his stuffed toy. This is my mom. I don't know where she went, but this is the picture she gave me, Shiv explained. Raghav could feel his stomach twisting. He was more determined to adopt Shiv now, so he made sure to talk to the orphanage director once everyone was settled down. After a couple of months, Raghav was finally named Shiv's adoptive father in court. As he had no wife or girlfriend, he raised Shiv alone, and since then, Shiv was still young when Raghav adopted him, so he never realized he wasn't his real dad. In fact, it was only at the age of 12 that he discovered Raghav was his real adoptive father. However, he didn't care. Your mother's name is Lata Suryavanshi. She left your father shortly after she gave birth to you because she thought your father could not give her the life she had always dreamed of, Raghav explained. You saved my life. You raised me with so much love. You are my dad. I feel it in my heart, Shiv said, giving Raghav a hug. Raghav could feel his stomach twisting again as he heard this, and he tried his best to stop his tears from falling. Raghav and Shiv shared a close relationship with one another through the years. They were more like best friends than father and son. They would also spend the holidays traveling together, and on normal days, they would sit on the beach not far from their house just to talk the entire afternoon. Despite treating him like a best friend, Raghav actually raised Shiv well. He grew up to be a kind, sympathetic, honest, and intelligent man. Raghav described him as the perfect son. In the end, Raghav never found love again or remarried. Instead, he focused on working hard to provide a good life for his son. A couple of years later, however, Shiv went on to have his own family. He made sure to take care of his aging father by asking him to move in with them. His wife Tina was more than happy to have her kind father in law with them too. However, those who benefited the most from having Raghav living with them at home were his adorable grandchildren. They were loved their grandfather dearly and would spend every afternoon playing and eating snacks with him. Raghav loved his grandchildren dearly and always spent time with them. One day, Raghav asked the entire family to spend a weekend afternoon in his room together. They watched Disney movies that the kids enjoyed. That same night, she went back to Raghav's room to find the glasses he left there. When he opened his dad's beside table, he was surprised to see a photograph of his mother. He flipped it over, thinking it was the picture he had with him all his life until he realized it said, I am sorry, Raghav, on the back instead of I am sorry, Shiv. Confused, he confronted his father and placed both pictures in front of him. What does this mean, Dad? Shiv asked. Raghav quickly asked Shiv to join him in their favorite spot at the beach so he could explain himself there. As they still lived nearby, the two walked in silence until they made it to the beach and sat by the shore like they always did. Your mother's name is Lata Suryavanshi. She left your father when you were about 3 years old because she thought your father could not give her the life she had always dreamed of. Raghav started to explain. One day, while she was serving at the restaurant she worked at, a rich man took an interest in her. However, at the time you were already 3 years old. The man testing her said to leave you at the orphanage if she really wanted to be with him. That's exactly what she did. She left your father too. At this point, she had so many questions he wanted to ask. He started by asking, well, what happened to my father? When your mother left your dad, he was motivated to do better. He wanted you to be in his life, so he trained hard to be good at his job. However, it took him 2 years before he was able to get up on his feet and earn enough money. Raghav replied. After a couple of seconds, she asked the question he really wanted to ask. How do you know all of this? It's because I am your dad, Shiv. I am your biological dad, Raghav said, immediately getting a hold of Shiv's hand. I am so sorry for keeping this from you, Shiv. I was so afraid it would change our relationship. I wanted to keep it a secret forever, he admitted. You should have told me this years ago. Why didn't you? He said, almost raising his voice at his dad. Shiv was shocked, but he was not angry with his dad at all. He loved him dearly because I thought you wouldn't forgive me for not coming to get you from the orphanage any sooner. I couldn't come earlier. I had no money and I wouldn't be able to feed you and give you the proper care you needed. I am sorry, son, Raghav said, this time not being able to stop his tears. When I found out the orphanage you were in was on fire, I made sure to be one of the first responders there. When the director said you were stuck inside the building, I could feel my knees weaken. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if anything happened to you. I was so relieved I found you safe and I was able to bring you out in time, he added. Shiv hugged his father tight without saying a word. At that moment, his whole life flashed in his mind, from the moment Raghav rescued him to all their lovely memories together. Even without knowing that Raghav was his biological dad, he already treated him as such. I love you so much, Dad. I have always told you this. I have always felt in my heart that you were my dad. And I was right. You are not only my adoptive dad, you are also my biological dad. Thank you for everything. I could never resent you for your choices or even be angry at you for not telling me. I am truly blessed to have you, and that's all that matters, Shiv said, also in tears. The men sat in silence for a couple more minutes, just watching the waves crash into the shore. After a while, she faced his dad with a smile. So, what can we learn from this story? You don't need to be rich in money to be rich in love.